Hey, everybody, welcome back to Reason and Theology. Your host, Michael, on a Tuesday. I wanted to just briefly review a tweet discussion, I guess, very brief discussion that I saw. Somebody tipped me off to this the other day, and I thought it's worth addressing because I think that, number one, this is incredibly tragic. Number two, I've been where this person is currently, which is a place of discouragement. And I want to maybe explain why this person is perhaps experiencing it, and then what we can do to address it. What I'm referring to is a tweet that was put out. Let me share my screen. I blocked the name of the person in question just so people don't make it about this specific person because you know, I don't specifically know if that person really wants to be reviewed, so I kept their identity withheld. But I do think that the um, problem that they're struggling with is something that I see time and time and time again. So it needs to be addressed. Some people wonder, why am I always talking about schism in the church? Why am I always talking about problems with bashing the Pope and stuff? Here's why, because I see this time and time again. This is a tweet that was put out January 26 by none other than Dr. Taylor Marshall. He says Pope Francis promotes homosexuality, and that's it. Just leaves it there. Tragically, a person responds and says, I am feeling discouraged of attending Mass. That broke my heart. When I read that, I've been there. I know what this person is feeling. I know what they're going through. But watch how tone deaf this response is from Taylor Marshall. Why would you run from Jesus? He says. He responds, I don't want to run from Jesus. I love him. It's this guidance that comes out of the Vatican that doesn't make sense. That is not what I was taught in catechism. You know what Marshall's response was? Nothing. Didn't say a word after that. Now, maybe he reached out to him privately. Perhaps. I don't know. But I think a public response would have been also helpful because there's other people who read this who feel that same way and need some guidance. And I'm not going to review the rest of the comments. They were pretty disgusting, some of them. There were a few people who stood up for the truth in the comment section. I was glad to see that. But a lot of the stuff was just very disgusting, in my opinion. So I'm not going to review any of that. But my heart goes out to this person because I know what he's experiencing right now. He feels discouraged from attending the Mass because, after all, why would you go to a place of worship that is in communion with and even mentions in the liturgy a pope that you think has a war against sacred tradition? After a while, that's going to take its toll on you. If all you do is bash the Pope nonstop, constantly, making videos that he's against the faith, he's against the faithful, he's against sacred tradition, video after video after video after video. Yeah, after a while, that's going to wear on you, and you're going to start to feel discouraged, and you're going to be like, why am I even here? And so, like a ton of other people in that comment section, they're like, well, you need to come and join the Eastern Orthodox Church or recognize that Pope Francis isn't the Pope and stuff like that. They kind of take this stuff to their logical conclusion. But it's truly sad because what you're seeing here is not only a tragedy, but also the tone deafness of Taylor Marshall as far as the consequences of this kind of content. He doesn't say, well, why would you be discouraged from leaving the Mass? Or from, well, why would you run away from Jesus? I'm not running away from Jesus. I'm running away from this church that you tell me hates me and is opposed to everything that is sacred. It's, again, just unfortunate. I want to show something else on the screen here. I've mentioned this before, I think on social media. I think it needs to be shown here. A poll that was put out. Once again, Taylor Marshall. Is Pope Francis currently, today, the real, valid, and true Pope of the Catholic Church? January 26. 46% said yes, Francis is the Pope. And then you have 26% that says, no, Francis is not the Pope. 27% that says, I don't know. 11,000 people voted. And 111,000 people viewed it. So the majority either believe, the majority of the people polled, he's either not the Pope or they just don't know. They can't confidently say he's the Pope. Is this really shocking? No. Because again, when you have nothing nonstop but video after video after video after video putting into doubt whether Pope Francis is the Pope, constantly bashing him, presenting himself as entirely against the faithful, against sacred tradition. Somehow he's ushering in the reign of the Antichrist kind of content. It's not surprising that the audience that views that after a while, they're going to start to wear down and say, yeah, I don't know if this guy's the Pope anymore. That's sad. I asked the question probably a year ago, does Taylor Marshall's show lead to schism? A lot of people were upset by that video. Well, you know what? There you go. There you go. I think that proves my point. And that's truly sad. What do we need to do to offset this? Retrace our steps. Does that mean bury our head in the sand? No, but it also means don't bury your head in the toilet, as one faithful priest that I recently interviewed said. It also means, again, retrace one's steps. Some of the things that we've bought into, this or that encyclical of Pope Francis teaches this or that heresy. Pope Francis denies the gospel. Pope Francis opposes evangelization. Whatever the claim is, retrace our steps. Perhaps we've bought into some things that we shouldn't have. Oh, the Novus Ordo is terrible. It's against sacred tradition. It's modifying this and that, and it's opposed to this and that, and it's a modernist this and that. Retrace your steps. All of this stuff that you've been inundated with from people on social media for the last 10 years of this pontificate, retrace your steps. You could start with the playlist that I offer right here on YouTube. It's the Radical Traditionalism playlist. Start there. Then you might want to move on to the Vatican II playlist. There's a lot of stuff in there as well. And then you could also move on to, after that, the Magisterium playlist, where I go over plenty of content on how to engage and evaluate and probably interpret magisterial documents, especially ones that some people are very confused by. So certainly check those resources out. And most importantly, let's pray for not only this individual, but all the others that we hear about daily. I don't know about y'all, but I hear about them daily. I get contacted by people nonstop who have left the Catholic Church because of this kind of content. And then they start to retrace their steps. And they message me and say, hey, I'm really confused what I do at this point. Or I get a lot of people who message me and say, hey, I'm thinking about leaving the church. And it's because of this stuff. So I see it all the time. And I imagine y'all are seeing it a lot as well. So perhaps those of y'all who want to help offset this stuff, please help share good content on your social media, especially with people that need to hear this. Okay, I'll see y'all later. God bless.